Isfahan, the blue and ochre city. A city of 2 million inhabitants, permeated by multiple Ottoman, Mongolian, and Persian influences. This stopover on the Silk Road is an oasis in the middle of the Iranian desert plateau, 340 kilometers south of Tehran. It is the third largest city in Iran, perched at 1,570 meters above sea level. To admire the wonders of Persian architecture, one must walk the streets of the city up to the vast Meydan Imam Square. It is dominated by a jewel of sacred Persian art, the Shah Mosque. Also known as the Imam Mosque, it was built in the 17th century under the orders of the Safavid ruler Shah Abbas I. This masterpiece, known for its immense dome with blue glazed ceramics, was to be the symbol of the Safavid dynasty's royal and spiritual power. The sovereign wanted to make Isfahan a flamboyant capital, so he drew up the plans for a new city. Facing the Shah Mosque, the Meydan Imam is the nerve center of the city. It is one of the largest squares in the world. The Great Bazaar of Isfahan encircles its gardens. And as soon as the sun rises, the shops are open. Craftsmen and traders appear to be always working. The heirs of centuries-old traditions, they have made the city prosperous. For the young inhabitants of Isfahan, the Shah Mosque is a sacred monument that cannot be ignored. A masterpiece of Persia's heritage, it reveals a whole section of its artistic history. To enter the Shah Mosque, it is necessary to leave this bustling place by crossing a symbolic border to which the architect Meryem Ghasemi Sichani guides us.
When a person wants to enter the mosque, he must get rid of his material concerns, such as money, politics, economics, and enter religion. Focus on the divine. What you see here is a kind of boundary that separates the material from the religious. This space, called the Jolojon, is a kind of first entrance. The doors of the bazaar open on either side and allow access to the main entrance of the mosque. It's one of the most beautiful portals of Iranian architecture.
The Pishtak, the great portico, and its first 2 minarets are in the axis of the gardens of Meydan, but it was necessary that the Shah's mosque be directed towards Mecca, which is 45 degrees towards the east. The architects of the time therefore found an ingenious way to place the monument in the right direction by designing an octagonal vestibule that allows rotation between the entrance and the rest of the mosque. It is through this richly decorated vestibule that one reaches the large inner courtyard, typically Persian with its 4 iwans, these huge vaulted porches. A harmony that has long inspired the architect Mohammad Massoud.
Faithful to the principles of Islamic philosophy, in particular Shiism, the builders wanted to create a movement upwards, to bring earthly humanity towards heaven, towards transcendence. You have to realize that the large minarets are 54 meters high. and at the top of the main dome is 52 meters high.
Under this incredible cupola, at a precise point in the center of the prayer hall, it seems that everything you say will be repeated 7 times. Indeed, the acoustics allow the sound to echo through the mosque, giving an unprecedented breadth to the singing of the faithful.
When someone stands here in the courtyard of the Shah Mosque, they're overwhelmed by a feeling of joy, an impression of expansion of space that elevates humans, that elevates the human spirit. It is, in any case, the emotion that I personally feel when I come here, entering this vast and open space. It's a very good feeling, like our spirits are flying.
This place of spirituality and prayer must also fulfill an educational function. A mosque must always be built with a madrasa, its Quranic school. The Shah Mosque now houses nearly 200 students. They come to learn different disciplines, such as the interpretation of Quranic law, taught by Ayatollah Abdalomir Khattat.
This place is a waqf, a religious school. According to Islamic law, it is absolutely impossible to use it for any other purpose. Students are here to learn religious sciences and Islamic morality. At the moment, we have just under 200 students. They study here for a few years to familiarize themselves with the Arabic language, then with the foundations of Islamic law. We also teach them the rules of logical argument. Then they can go and do society a service wherever God gives them the opportunity. As this place has a double function of being both a mosque and a school, we have woven a very strong link between science and piety. Besides, it's not just us. It's like that in Islam. Islam does not recognize science without piety, nor piety without science.
The students of the madrasa are residents. They live here to the rhythm of the classes and the 5 daily prayers. Before each, they do their ritual ablutions. The believers say that they drive away laziness in sleep and purify the heart. For prayer, Shiite Muslims prostrate themselves on the turba, small blocks of clay from one of the Shiism's holy places. It is a sign of humility and submission to God. Iran has been a bastion of Shiism since the 16th century. To counter the influence of the Ottoman Turks, the Safavid dynasty converted Persia to this minority movement of Islam, a dissident of Sunnism, practiced in the majority of the Muslim world. When they come to the mosque for prayer, women are quite discreet. In the passageways and corridors of the Shah's mosque, their furtive silhouettes are out of sight. The architect Maryam Gassemi Sichani nevertheless agrees to let us share this moment.
Most people who come here see the mosque as a representation of paradise, with all the elements that make it up. For the faithful, it is a reminder of the reward that awaits them for their good deeds, the eternity of paradise. Some hadiths who bring us the words of the Prophet say that for the believer, the mosque is like water for the fish, but to the unbeliever, it will be like a cage for birds. That means this mosque must be our natural element. We must feel like a fish in water, a place where we breathe.
In prayer halls, women and men do not mix. Everyone has a well-defined space. The royal families also wish to have their place to pray in complete discretion without mixing with the common faithful. To the west of the square, Shah Abbas had another smaller mosque built for his family only. This mysterious place has long aroused the curiosity of the inhabitants of Isfahan. Architect Mohammed Massoud now knows the secrets. The Lotfallah Mosque reveals another facet of the Safavid dynasty's refinement. Consisting of a unique and vast prayer room, it is known for the finesse of its arabesques and its play of light.
In this room, light is a symbolic representation of divine wisdom, illumination, a divine sign above all else. And you can find yourself transported out of yourself and out of this place into a spiritual space that allows communion with the divine. This lighting is carried out by skylights, which are on the base of the dome and which regulate the arrival of light. They have a decorative function, but above all, they regulate the arrival of light on the mosaics of the walls and those of the cupola.
Human representation is forbidden in mosques. On walls or domes, only floral or geometric figures are allowed. These ornaments are in fact an ancient writing. Inherited from the Abbasids, they transcribe verses from the Quran. We see the same geometric calligraphy in the Shah's mosque. Inside and outside, they celebrate the Prophet on the full height of its minarets.
The writings we see in the mosques of the Safavid period are often geometric representations of the name of the Prophet Muhammad, but also of the name of the first Imam of Shiism, Imam Ali. As you can see behind me, it's Ali's name that is calligraphed and integrated in different forms into a set of harmonious geometries.
These calligraphic figures date back to ancient times, well before the time of the Safavids in the 16th century. Before, they were done in colored ceramics and were covered in stone or bricks. The oldest specimens of this writing are visible on the walls of the Friday Mosque. Made entirely of mud bricks, it is of a purified beauty. Its construction would have begun in the 8th century, and with its restoration and extension works, it has been imbued with various artistic influences. Nestled in Isfahan's Old Town, the Friday Mosque is one of the first religious monuments built with a courtyard of 4 iwans. Its design definitely inspired the Great Shah Abbas Mosque. To erect his new building, the king summoned the best craftsmen and placed at their disposal the most beautiful materials. But 4 centuries have passed. The weather and extreme temperatures have altered the beauty of its ceramics. For several years, a restoration program has been trying to preserve this exceptional monument with the support of UNESCO. This painstaking work provides for the restoration of the dome's mosaics, as well as for the interior facades of the courtyard. A skill that only a few craftsmen master, and which is practiced as a family. Hossein Pakdel is in charge of this long-term project.
This art has been in our family for generations, passed down from father to son since the Safavid era to reach me. And I hope with God's help to fulfill my duty in turn. I work alongside my brother and father, and we have the task of renovating the decoration of the facades and the cupola.
When the doors of the mosque close after the last evening prayer, it is no longer the songs that are heard under the domes, but the regular hammering of the Pakdel Kashitarash family, father and son. They each have their speciality. The task of drawing the complex restoration plan of the mosaics belongs to Ali Pakdel, the younger brother.
What you see here is a large plan of a part of the dome. It is only 1/16 of the dome.
After putting the numbers on, we cut the paper. We must be precise, and even if we have 100 meters of paper, we must not be wrong. We have to be on the lines and without rulers. And then we glue the cuts to the tiles.
Each piece is composed of about 25,000 pieces of earthenware of different sizes and shapes. And on the whole dome, we have about 500,000 pieces over the entire surface.
My maternal grandfather was also in this trade. He was called Master Hossein Kashitarash, tile cutter. Because at the time, in the registry office, to choose names, they took the name of the trade. So my grandfather's name was Hossein, and his family name was tile cutter, Kashitarash.
To cope with the scale of this project, the ceramicists work late in the cool of the night. The Pakdel Kashitarash family is proud of the mission entrusted to them, to erase the passage of time on the splendors of the Shah's mosque. Once cut, the pieces of earthenware are assembled on the dome's mold, like a puzzle. They will then be glued together to form plaster panels that should not weigh more than 50 kilos.
These 500,000 pieces add an enormous weight to the dome. In fact, we have almost 1,000 tons of excess weight on the dome, counting the panels and the plaster. So in total, it adds almost 1,000 tons just for decoration. And at the time, our ancestors, our forefathers, had designed this cupola so that it could support this enormous weight, and they made very precise calculations.
To immerse yourself in the subtle art of Persian ceramics, one must push open the doors of the workshops. The best craftsmen of the city are here, in the winding alleys of the Great Bazaar. Alleys and shops that are so busy during the day, the artists prefer to work in the calm of the night. Tolerating neither rulers nor compasses, silence and concentration are imperative to the exercise of this delicate art. The refinement of drawings and paintings is always performed freehand. When night falls on the Iranian desert, the ochre and blue ceramics of the Shah Mosque are reborn under the expert hands of the craftsmen of Isfahan. King Shah Abbas I had predicted this. It would be paradise on earth. The 1,000 reflections of the arabesques of the Pishtak and the Great Dome will still shine for a long time to testify to the refinement of this dynasty of Persian builders. As the night draws to a close, it is already time for prayer at the Shah Mosque, the first of the morning.